So ever since I swapped the VQ into this car, there hasn't been a gauge cluster because the old 241 wasn't going to work with the VQ setup. And I think the G35 one will fit in if you cut it up enough, but I don't really want to do that. I don't really like how it looks. It didn't seem to want to fit in too nicely. So I've just been running no gauge cluster, no tack or anything, and that's been fine for now. But the issue is that you kind of just look at this disgusting hole back here where the gauge cluster should be. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a piece of aluminum that's going to go here and bolt in, and then eventually my hope is to get a tack in there, maybe some sort of like digital dash tablet OBD2 thing to go there to work as a tachometer, and like kind of like a little digital dashboard. So I have a piece of aluminum here that we're going to be making use of, and I'm hoping to be able to make the gauge cluster out of this metal, as well as a new switch panel to replace this one I have here. I have some like new switches and everything, and I want to make like a piece that goes from here like all the way down to like meet the transmission tunnel, and I'm not going to run a center console anymore. So we're going to start by making a cardboard cutout of what we want for the gauge cluster, and then we'll go make it into aluminum. So I cut this piece of aluminum out, and then I'm going to go ahead and just see if it wants to fit in right, like the cardboard did, and then if it does, we can make some L brackets and get it mounted up. So what I ended up doing here is pretty hack. I just took a piece of aluminum, bolted it up here where the factory cluster bolts up there. Took another piece, put it here. I drilled a hole in it because I think I'm going to go ahead and bolt the cluster cover up I made in. I now realize this one, it's probably about half an inch too short, like if it where my middle finger is here, like it needs to be about that long to fill up the whole gap. But I'll go ahead and throw it in and you can take a look at it. So as you can see, it's a couple things about it. As you can see, it's kind of at a very aggressive slanted angle, and that's just because like the normal cluster, it like sits back maybe about an inch from this bottom piece right here, but I just have this thing sitting flush against it because I thought that was the easiest way to do it. I know you can buy like metal or aluminum clusters that go here, and they kind of have like a little, like a piece that comes around, so this thing can sit a little bit more vertical. So if you want to put gauges on it, it's a little more user-friendly, so you're actually looking at like a flat thing to your face as opposed to something that's like that. But I mean, this thing, for how much I spent on it, how much time I spent on it, it's pretty good. Like you can see, it's kind of pretty solid in here as it is now, but I definitely want to go ahead and like bolt it in somehow, because that's really not going to stay around there if you're doing some tough driving. And also I'm probably going to just go ahead and cut out another one because you can see it's a little bit too short. So if it was a little bit taller, it would definitely be perfect. So now I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the switch panel I'm going to make. I just went ahead and removed the center console. I still have to take out that factory cable handbrake stuff from the back, and then I'll unbolt it and pull everything out. But I took the console out, took out the, I believe this is the automatic seatbelt controlling module here. I just tucked the wiring for it down there. At some point I definitely want to pull a lot of the wiring out of this car. It doesn't really do anything anymore. Because I feel like at this point in its life, it's not like someone else is going to buy this car, pull it back to stock. It's kind of not a perfect shell. It's got rust in certain places, so I don't feel really bad about like messing up a car like this. So yeah, right now you can see I have this absolute rat's nest back here. It was on fuses. I had relays, they stopped like working properly, so I just put straight fuses. And I've never actually had this problem. Like if people are like, oh, the switches will get hot if you run too much power for them. Like this one actually just like melted itself. It's like it has nothing left that resembles a switch in it. It's like, I don't even know. Like I don't know if there was like plastic inside of it or what, but it just melted like the inside of the switch because there was like a lot of power through that, or amperage. So it just got really hot and it like melted the plastic inside of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and not do that anymore. I ordered relays and a new like switch setup, just like with the toggle switches, or not toggle switches, like the bumper switches, which I'm really excited about. It's gonna be super clean. So yeah, let's move on to that. I'm just gonna go ahead and just rip all of this out. Not rip it out, like remove it nicely, because I still want to use this gauge. I've taken this mess off. This is just so funny. I don't even care to explain this. I tried. I have fuses. I guess that's a good attempt. But we're gonna go ahead and ditch all of that. New relays. Then we have our toggle switches. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead and grab another piece of cardboard, line it up here, and just decide what exactly I want to do. I'm thinking I'm just gonna come down to like here. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to do like this bend here, Because if like I could do that and just this was all just like a piece of aluminum and just kind of go around the handbrake here, like that would be so cool. It would look so sick, and it'd be like just so much cleaner. Like I'm just really thinking like how I can just clean up the interior, because I want to try and drive the car around more, and it's just like an absolute like just mess of wires that I just thought was good. And it's just like people's feet get caught on things stop working. Like these like the gauges wouldn't work. Sometimes just go over a bump, all the gauges would just turn on. So yeah, definitely like time to like fix everything. So glad to do it. It's really satisfying. Like when I'm sitting here, I'm hoping I'm gonna be like a lot happier with like what I'm looking at as I drive. So yeah, I'm gonna go grab a piece of cardboard and get started with this. Alright, so I got it all cut out and everything, and I just went ahead and made a little hole here for one of the factory mounting holes. There's a little piece that actually holds the center console, I believe. Then I put another bolt over here on this side that just holds it in. I need to put a nut in the back of it. It's kind of just like in some threads that aren't really supposed to be for it. I might get some different holes, maybe like some hex heads, so it could like look better instead of like a wood screw and then just some metric bolt. And then I'm gonna put another like screw right here because there's a thing that's in here, maybe a little spacer so it's like doesn't like get bowed in a lot. You can still, the clearance up here isn't perfect yet. I might grind it down a little bit more right here. But aside from that, it's pretty good. I'm really upset I kind of creased it here when I was trying to bend it. Like I bent the corner nicely. Like I was using an old drive shaft I had, trying to hammer it around. And then I ended up creasing it right here, which in certain light looks really awful. Like you can kind of see like it's shiny here and just like matte there. But aside from that, I think it looks really good. I'm really excited to get my switches in here. This is definitely going to be a lot more solid than this old thing I had here. I mean, this was like good, and I like decided what I liked and didn't like. Don't really like the look of the gauges in it, and also it's so messed up. But live and you learn. Round 2. So yeah, now I'm just waiting for my switches and relays to come in the mail. Once they come in, throw them right on in, and we should be good to go with a lot more stuff working. So I'm really excited about that, and we'll be driving the car a lot more once it actually works. So, but here is the switch panel I went ahead and got. It's a pretty good, I don't know, it's what I want. It's gonna be, this looks super clean. This is all I'm gonna have. I'm not gonna be drilling holes and sticking individual switches like I tried to do on this one here, which really just didn't end up looking great and bent it a bunch. And I know I don't really like the look of these switches. So I just traced this off of the back of the switch panel, so I'm pretty much just going to cut out where the back of the switches are, give myself some space so I can screw it into here. And I can't think of a better way of making this hole than doing some hole saws, and then maybe just using like a grinder or something, because I don't really have a Dremel that can do this. So I'm going to go run to Lowe's or Home Depot right now and grab 1.5 inch hole saw. So I just picked up the hole saw, got it on the drill. Now I'm just going to go ahead and pop some holes in this thing. I'm going to really try not to mess this thing up too much, but we'll see what happens. A few notes. I kind of wish my drill was not $20 at Walmart. And also, I don't know if this hole saw is designed for metal. There's a picture of wood on the front of it. Wow, that was not the thing to do with all the metal shavings at all. So that was a process and a half. Honestly, I might be better off with just going at it with the angle grinder, to be honest. So, wow. This was like $12. I'm so upset. So I got these switches in, used 2 little screws here. I'm going to probably have to put a nut in the back of them because I drilled the holes a little bit too big, so I used the smallest drill bit I had and it's a little too big. So the screws kind of just rattle around and they're not really tight in there. But I got this thing fit pretty flush. Yeah, looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go for all the wiring. I went ahead and just bought, these are like the fanciest relights I've ever bought. It's got a little port for the fuse in it. And then it's also got, and it has this plug on the back of it that plugs into the blades here, and it's like, so that's like super clean which is really cool. I'm not going to have to use my own connectors to connect up to this. So it's pretty much just going to be stripping this wire and either soldering or crimping it to other wires. And then I bought this block here because I thought it was going to be just a piece of metal that you would connect a terminal to with power, and then the rest of these are going to all have power from that one. As it turns out, these black pieces pretty much separate the pieces of metal. I thought there was a connection inside of it. I don't know why I thought that. I just assumed. I don't know what the function of this is exactly, but took the multimeter to it and try and connect these two. Nothing, but if you put it on the same one, you get that. So essentially, this has no functionality for me, but I'm gonna go ahead and I think just put terminals from one to one, so I can just use it as like a power block, because I don't want to be doing weird sketchy crimping things, and I guess this is like semi-okay way to do it. So that looks like it's the plan for now. So I'm gonna get started with wiring up the relays, getting the switch panel in, mounting the relays, and I'll get back to you when I encounter a problem or make some good progress. So we got the entire switch panel finished. It was actually super easy. The wiring is super easy. I got the relays done. There was no issues at all. Those relays I got with the actual pigtail that plugs in was such a move. So yeah, I got the whole switch panel done. And this is what it looks like in the car. It's super clean. I mean, for George standards. I still do want to clean it off, get the permanent marker off of it. This crease still kind of bothers me, but just pretend to not look at it. Of course, mounted a little bit better. It's actually in there super solid right now. It's not really, oh, it's going a little place. But, yeah, it's pretty good. It came with a bunch of little stickers to mark down what each thing does. I actually ended up making use of this battery cutoff thing to give power to the switches, because I didn't really know how else to do them, because the issue is that the switches constantly have these LEDs on them when there's power going to them. Like, this turns power on and off. So if you obviously just gave power to switches constantly, there would be the battery draw, because these LEDs are on always and the battery would die. So I decided to do this. My other thought was to hook the switches to only work on when the ignition's on, but I kind of want all these things to be able to work when the ignition's not on. Like, I want to be able to do the fans. I ended up hooking up the brake light switch back there with a relay. I wanted that power to just be on constantly. So I figured this thing was huge, big enough to take the power and the amperage. It's not going to melt itself or anything. So that's how I do power for this. We put these stickers on for everything. This one is the this gauge right here. Turns that on. This one is for the radiator fans. There's those on. I have a little speaker. It's not actually hooked up right now, but it's a little talkie guy. It's got a little siren thing on it. It's a lot of fun to play with. This one is for my running lights. You can see here, they are on back there. And I'll just flip them off here. Running lights. This one is what I'm going to hook up for the HVAC. I want to hook up, because the blower motor's still in there, I want to be able to hook it up to push air onto the windshield to defrost it, because I mean, that'd be super cool. I have an issue with it defrosting when it's raining. Just it's all foggy and it's really tough to see, so I have to put the windows down. But if I could do that, have it pull air from the outside in, and throw it up on the windshield, that'd be super fun. Wouldn't have all the issues with fogging up. And the last one is for a fan that I don't actually have hooked up, but it's this fan I have right back in here. It gets a lot of air moving inside the car because the HVAC doesn't actually work. I guess in the grand scheme of things, if I wanted to hook up the HVAC to blow out of these vents too, I could do that, but we'll see. Because I don't actually have the controller for it. It's over there, but it didn't really work. I just pulled it out. You can see I've actually been using the car to move a bunch of stuff around, which is kind of funny. I actually used it as a car for the first time in a very long time. Just pretty cool that I actually, with all this stuff done, the brake lights work, everything works, I can actually do that, and it's not really stressful, because it's I have brake lights and I have running lights, I can use it at night. And I know if the engine's getting hot because the gauges actually work. So this is what it looks like behind the switch panel. It's still kind of a mess of wires just because I have these relays just floating around here. This is the only sketchy thing. It's I don't have a connector on this or anything, because I was just playing around with the wiring, and you can see it just fell off, so obviously I'm gonna have to fix that. But yeah, it's super, it still kind of looks messy, but it's not. I just have some wires, these green ones, which are for the brake pedal switch. They're just way too long, which makes it look pretty bad. But aside from that, only have a couple of the switches hooked up right now. These switches have power integrated in them, so they're really good for a relay. So you literally just switch it on, it sends power to the relay, so it's not just an on-off switch. For power, it actually is on for the LED, and then It actually will send power, stop sending power to the relay, which will switch it, which is pretty good. So yeah, the switch panel is pretty much done. It looks so good. I'm so happy with it. The switch panel, I think it was like $22 on eBay, and then I probably spent another like $10 on all the wiring. I needed to wire everything up again because I just wanted it to be done properly. The relays were, I think, $15, so like $15, $35, maybe $45 for this entire setup I did. I'm really happy with it. It's all I wanted for so long was just for this to like work properly and not look super sketchy with that old switch panel I had, and I finally have succeeded in that, which is pretty cool. And obviously I have more stuff I can hook up on for these switches because I only have 3 of them working right now. I'll get the rest of them working for other stuff later. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I had a lot of fun doing the switch panel. You remember like 3 years ago I made the other switch panel. I had a lot of fun doing that. I thought that one was pretty cool then, but I was like, I always wanted to take another shot at it and make another one that was better. I finally did. I'm really happy with it. So if you guys are interested in this stuff, make sure to subscribe, stay tuned for more stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.